Welcome into the Steelers Talk mailbag here for Week 9. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Today I'm answering your questions on the black and gold as this team prepares to take on the Indianapolis Colts in Week 9 of the 2025 NFL season. But before we get into it, make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we try and we strive to be the most interactive Steelers fan community anywhere here on YouTube. We got over 100,000 subscribers. We are the only Steelers news channel on YouTube to have that many subscribers, and that's for a reason. And I think that reason is we try to give you guys a voice on this channel, not only with these mailbags where you guys can get your questions on the show, but also we go live twice during the week and then every single game day as well, so that you guys can interact with me, with Ponzi, with our entire crew here at Steelers Talk. So if you guys want that interactive fan experience for Pittsburgh Steelers fans here on YouTube, this is where you get that. Click that subscribe button right now to join our family. Got our first question coming in from Justin Yankuski, who says, why is Tomlin delusional about this defense? And I think what Tomlin's delusional about specifically is he likes these older cornerbacks, and he thinks he's getting the younger version of these cornerbacks when he gets them when they're 31 or 32 years old. Patrick Peterson, right? Classic example. Then, you got Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay this year. I still think Jalen can play, but he's certainly not the Jalen Ramsey of old where you would line him up outside on an elite receiver and say, you're on an island for the entire game, go shut him down. He's not that type of guy. I think Jamar Chase, making mincemeat of him a couple weeks ago, proved that. But in terms of tackling, in terms of blitzing, in terms of being a zone defender, having his eyes on the quarterback, reading the eyes of the QB, and making a play on the football, he's done all that stuff really well. And then Darius Slay's just been a complete dumpster fire. But, I think that they were expecting to get these guys and be like, we're going to be able to man up everybody, and nobody's going to be able to get open against our corners this year. And that just unfortunately hasn't been the case. So they got to make adjustments. They haven't made the right adjustments to this point in the season, and hopefully they're able to get those adjustments made in the weeks to come. $2 from Breathing Black and Gold says, will Donte Kent play this year? I would probably say the chances are pretty low. I think he's number 4 on the slot cornerback depth chart right now, and unless Ramsey, Eccles, and Beanie Bishop Jr. all get injured, I don't see any way Kent getting onto the field this season. $10 from Rad Doctor. He says, thank you, Rad Doctor, one of the best profile picks in the game right there. Then $10 from Alex L. says, supporting the best Steelers sports talk channel. Appreciate you, Alex L. You're a real one. Another one from Breathing Black and Gold with a 5 says, what do you think of Bryce Lane from South Dakota as a draft target? Very similar to Christian Watson. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I haven't gotten into a lot of the deep dive, film analysis of college guys yet. I usually do that at the end of the season. Right now, my schedule is pretty packed with watching NFL film, especially Steelers film here for Chat Sports. So right now I'm looking at some of the quarterback film, but not a whole lot of the other positions. So don't really have a great answer for you right there, Breathing Black and Gold. Then Brian03 with a 2 says, let's go get Jon Gruden and John Mateer. This is the ultimate vibes, a combination of future head coach and quarterback, but it also probably has a pretty good chance of not working out. Gruden is not necessarily, the scheme master, he was back in the early 2000s, and honestly, he hasn't really adjusted his scheme all that much since then. And honestly, I don't want him away from the media. I think that he is so good as a commentator and as an analyst and all that stuff, where, he would certainly be able to fill the shoes of Mike Tomlin as like a legitimate, charismatic leader of men. That aspect of his coaching style is certainly there. And then Mateer is uber talented, can run with the football, has a great cannon of an arm. He could be a superstar in the league if he develops a little bit more on the mental side of things. But, that's certainly a risky combo that you're bringing into Pittsburgh at that point, but the vibes would certainly be high. So vote below down there in the comments section. Who will be the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Week 1 of 2026? Will Aaron Rodgers come back for another season? Will it be a rookie quarterback? Will it be Will Howard? Will it be somebody else? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section for today's pinned question. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time. But let me know who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Steelers in Week 1. Then we got one from Swapfire, $5. Says, have you seen the Jackson Powers Johnson trade idea? He got benched by the Raiders. Also, let's draft Carson Beck all the way. Carson Beck, I don't know if he's a first-round draft prospect. He's got some nice command of that Miami offense, but he's been up and down this season, and, Frankly, he's been up and down his entire college career. He hasn't played against truly elite defenses on average throughout his career, and he doesn't have like elite physical traits either. So, maybe if he continues to play well, maybe he gets into the late round one conversation. We'll have to see. But there's certainly other guys I would probably rather get. And when it comes to Jackson Powers-Johnson, I don't think we need an interior offensive lineman. I like Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, and Isaac Seumalo have been fine this year, and Seumalo's injury is a short-term injury. So don't think the Steelers are necessarily looking for help on the interior of the offensive line. $5 from Interstellar Reaper says, what position should the Steelers draft for in 2026? Also, how does 15 draft picks sound? We've got 12 right now. I don't think you need any more, all right? If you're adding 15 rookies to your roster via the draft, that is a lot of rookies, okay? I don't think you need 15 draft picks. I really don't. I think 12 is more than enough. And if anything, you can trade one of those 12 draft picks to try and help you win this year, all right? And I know a lot of people don't think the Steelers can win this year, but the Steelers clearly think that they can. And if you can get a good player at a decent price tag, 11 draft picks will do just fine as well, guys. It really will. So, honestly, I don't think the Steelers should be selling at the deadline. Interstellar Reaper, I know that's an idea that you like, but personally, I'm not there, at least not yet. All right, now before we get to the rest of the questions here on the Steelers Talk mailbag, let's have a word from our sponsor here at GLD. And let's be real, guys. Buying men's jewelry used to be a nightmare. In fact, most places it still is. It's low-quality junk that snapped after a week, or it was insanely overpriced with ridiculous markups. That's why I rock with GLD. They've completely changed the game in men's jewelry. You're getting quality pieces that are built to last without breaking the bank. And unlike other companies, GLD uses real gold. None of that cheap stuff with GLD. Every single stone is meticulously hand set. Plus, their proprietary production process makes sure you're getting the highest quality jewelry possible. You can literally see and feel the difference with GLD. And just to give you guys a little example here of what it looks like here, my GLD pendant here from the Steelers, you guys can see how much, I don't know if you guys can see how much it shines, but it really pops. And I'm wearing this during every single Steelers watch party this year because I think it looks good, and hopefully it can be a lucky charm for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. So you know the feeling when you get a new chain, guys. It just hits different. It elevates your whole fit, the confidence, the compliments, the way you carry yourself, all changes instantly when you've got that piece of jewelry around your neck. And GLD has everything that you could possibly want: chains, pendants, rings, earrings, even fully iced out watches if that's your style. And whatever your style is, GLD's got you covered. And listen, don't just take my word for it. Over 2 million customers and 50,000 five-star reviews back it up. Not to mention, it's worn by some of the biggest names out there like Justin Bieber, Micah Parsons, Tyreek Hill, Malik Neighbors, A$AP Rocky, and a ton more. The best part, every single piece from GLD is guaranteed for life. It's literally built to last the rest of your life, just like your love for the black and gold. Work hard and change the game with GLD today. For a limited time only, new customers are getting an insane deal. Use code CHAT to get 50% off plus a free chain at GLD.com. That's 50% off and a free chain with code CHAT at GLD.com. After your purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. A big shout out to GLD for sponsoring today's edition of Steelers Talk. Another one from Breathing Black and Gold, $2 Super Chat says, what is your updated record prediction? I haven't looked at the schedule lately, but I would say, I still think the Steelers get to, if they can't fix the defense, I think they get to around 8 or 9 wins. If they make it a little bit better but not make it what it could be, 9 or 10 wins. And then if they really turn things around and quickly on defense, I think they could still get up to 10 to 11 wins. Okay, that's kind of the range that I think the Steelers will be living in. I no longer think it's possible that they can get to 12 or 13 wins or something like that, but I certainly think it's possible for them to find some schematic changes to help this defense play better and make these quarterbacks hold the ball for longer, which is going to help out their pass rush. And once you can unlock that pass rush, guys, and all these great guys, TJ Watt, Nick Herbig, Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward, once you give these guys a little bit of time to get to quarterbacks, I think you're going to see a much different Steelers defense in the weeks to come. Tink McGathy with a 10. Thank you, Tink. Says, is there a rule that says we can't just dump the deadweight players? Chuck Clark, Slade, Thornhill. I don't know how much of those NFL rules, trades, contract. I mean, you can get rid of them if you want. It's just, who are you replacing them with? they probably feel like these guys have been in their building for a while. They still have some level of confidence in these guys, whereas, like, who are you going to get in free agency right now to replace those guys? Obviously they brought in Duggar. They brought in Derek Forrest, this week at the safety position. So maybe they will dump Chuck Clark and maybe Thornhill in the weeks to come. Slay, sounds like that, maybe they might try and trade him to somebody this week. So, I think that eventually, Tink, we're going to see these guys, start at least seeing a decrease in playing time, but it could be as bad as, like in Chuck Clark's case, getting released. Really hope that happens in the weeks to come. $5 from Interstellar Reaper says, will you be live at the 2026 draft in Pittsburgh? We'll be live on this channel, but we will not be in Pittsburgh live at the stadium or at the stage or whatever. Like that's we have our studio, we have our graphics here, we got our extensive coverage of the NFL draft here. So no, we will not be present in Pittsburgh, but we might make a trip during draft week and do some draft week coverage. Maybe that's a possibility. I don't know, but for draft night itself, we will be in our studio doing our normal draft day watch party. Then JV Free says, why not Rex Ryan? He's an all-time DC and certainly better than Austin. Well, I don't want to run a Bear front here in Pittsburgh, okay? I don't want to run the 85 Bears defense here in Pittsburgh. As much as that defense is legendary, the modern day NFL, has gone faster, and it's gone with, two high safeties and, rotating after the snap. All right, and that's just not the style of defense that Rex Ryan plays. Like, if you think Mike Tomlin and Teryl Austin's style of defense is old school, Rex Ryan literally runs an offense that his daddy created in the 80s. All right, he still runs that shit. All right, so no, not Rex Ryan, no. So make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you're a real one, we greatly appreciate your guys' support. All your questions, all that stuff. Even though I kind of just shot down the Rex Ryan idea, I still love you, man. But, make sure you click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already because, you guys are real ones. Lobos Rambo says, did the Steelers make a mistake dealing away Minka and Pickens? Listen, man, I think Pickens would be crashing out here in Pittsburgh right now. You're telling me that he'd be perfectly fine getting 3 or 4 targets a game as the number 2 receiver, like Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson have been fine getting that kind of production? No way. All right, no way. Pickens is in a perfect spot for him because he's in a pass-heavy offense there in Dallas. He's had certain moments where CeeDee Lamb has not been on the field, and good for Pickens. I'm glad he's found a spot where, he's found a quarterback that can get him the football effectively. He's found a team that throws the football enough to feed him as much as he wants to be fed. But, would George Pickens, just be sitting idly by and just being okay? Being the number 2 receiver while DK Metcalf got his targets and his money and, the run game, we were running the ball so much, I kind of think that it would have been a headache. So, you got a 3rd-round pick out of him. I think he's probably outperforming the value that you got for him, but I guess we'll see later on down the road if he becomes a headache for the Dallas Cowboys or whatever team ends up giving him the massive payday he's about to get next offseason. I don't think the Steelers were going to pay him all that money to keep him around long-term anyways, so at least you got a draft pick out of that. So I don't necessarily think that one was a mistake. In terms of Minka, I still think Ramsey's a good player. Minka, people forget, man, people were just trashing Minka all season long because he wasn't getting interceptions. He wasn't around the football. He looked slower. He was a big part of the miscommunication issues last year as well, leaving his assignments, trying making a big play, and he just leaves a hole wide open in the defense. It's not like Minka Fitzpatrick was like the Minka Fitzpatrick of old. And frankly, he's not playing that way in Miami right now. So, he was plus his cap, it was like almost $30 million here in Pittsburgh. To be able to unload that contract, I think it was a win for the Pittsburgh Steelers still. Obviously, we still have to figure some things out with him out of the defense here, but, certainly, I see why the Steelers traded him away. Nicholas Girdler says, what are the chances we win the division and a playoff game? To keep playing this way, man, not very high. Okay, the defense needs to play a lot better. And if they don't, they're going to give up 40-plus in a playoff game again, or at least 30-plus in a playoff game, and they're going to lose. All right, the offense is good. It's probably not good enough to keep up in a shootout against, Kansas City or Buffalo, or if the Baltimore Ravens make it with Lamar and that defense healthy, Baltimore, right? You got to be able to have that balance because this is not an elite offense, and that's okay. It's a good offense. It's not an elite offense, okay? And in order to win a Super Bowl with a good, not great offense, you got to have a really good defense, okay? And if they can turn it around, then the chances I think are pretty decent. I think that in terms of the talent on this team, there's enough talent here, and this is the most talented Steelers team for quite a while. But they got to figure it out schematically on defense, and if they don't do that, chances of winning the division and winning a playoff game go down to close to zero, in my opinion. James Chinchak, I hope I'm saying that right. I hope I'm not being racist right there. Says, when do we consider trading out T.J. Watt? Could fix possibly two major positions of need for us while Herbig and Highsmith begin to eat. You're not trading him this year for sure because, frankly, next year because of the dead cap numbers. It's just astronomical numbers that it just doesn't make sense to trade a player of T.J. Watt's caliber when you're taking on that much dead cap. Now, maybe if you're rebuilding next year, maybe if you get a new head coach and you move on from Tomlin and you're looking to draft a rookie quarterback and you're looking to take a step back so you can take 2 steps forward in the future, maybe you can think about trading T.J. Watt for a king's ransom. Maybe. But it's going to be a big dead cap hit regardless, and I think it's going to be at least a couple of years before they think about trading him or doing anything with him because there's just so much money and guaranteed money locked up in the T.J. Watt deal at this point. So vote below down there in the comments section. If you think the Steelers will make the playoffs this season, spam me down there in the comments section. I greatly appreciate all of your guys' support and all the questions that were put on this week's Steelers Talk mailbag. Of course, we do these mailbags live every single Thursday during the Steelers Talk live show. So if you guys want to get a question on a future edition of the Steelers Talk mailbag, click that subscribe button. Join us on Thursdays for our live shows. Until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.